AFR On Demand is brought to you by Breck Golf. Try Beaver Creek today, just 20 minutes from downtown Baton Rouge in the Zachary area. They've got a PGA Tour driving range, a short game practice area, 30 to 40-yard practice shots. It's a great place to chip and putt and practice if you don't have time for a full round. Book your tee time today, golf.breck.org, golf.breck.org.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Raising Cane studio.
Let's ride!
And off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. AFR, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. I'm Matt.
This is Shaq O'Neal, and I hate Matt.
Paul O'Neal.
They're chanting Paul O'Neal's name.
Make it a big music. And Mr. Toby Tomplay. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there and make it a good one. The head coach of the Little Rock Trojans, Chris Curry, our guy, back for some AFR karma in 1 hour. We'll talk to John Stinchcomb in hour 3. A lot to do. Let us begin as we do every single day.
It's time to pop the top on another edition of AFR with Bud Light. Drink easy.
SEC spring meetings were last week. Verge Ausberry took part for the first time as LSU's athletic director. Did a wide-ranging interview with our buddy Jacques Doucet from WAFB and talked about his first trip to SEC spring meetings as AD.
They went well. We have a lot of work to do, though. A lot of work to do with football scheduling, a lot of work to do with how things are going to look in the future for the SEC and how we're going to look and how does it help our athletic department. So there will be more meetings, I feel, coming in after that one. This is my first meeting in the new world. The world has changed on us drastically. While I was in that meeting, there was a Senate bill that came out at the time, and we're still reviewing that to see the good and the bad of a bill. It's 111 pages. So those are the type of things that happen at my first meeting as athletic director.
So we're going to break down. There's a lot of ground that Verge and Jacques covered, and these are Verge's first public comments on some of these things that I want to dive into. So we'll break it down and talk about throughout the show. Next hour, we'll spend some time talking about football specifically and the football team and bringing back Coach O. In hour 3, rev share, baseball, the basketball, veteran transfer guys, the international guys, all that. So Verge got into all that. So we're going to break it down as we move throughout the show. Maybe the most pertinent thing is the future of football scheduling. And I think it's relevant because Verge did that for 2 decades. Like, that was his job. He was LSU senior associate AD in charge of football scheduling. He's the guy that put together all the football schedules. Well, now we're in this really important landmark, seismic shifting time of college football where everybody's trying to decide what to do with football scheduling. The SEC has this Power 4 mandate, and they just went to 9 league games. It was always thought that the only way the SEC would go to 9 league games was 2 things. Number 1, TV partner had to agree to pay him more money, which ESPN is apparently going to do. And number 2, an expanded college football playoff, because you didn't want to make your schedule more difficult to create more hurdles for your teams to get in. Well, now, the last 3 years, not only has a Big Ten team won the championship, but an SEC team hasn't even made it to the game the last 3 years. And Verge Ausberry appropriately pointed out something about the last 3 national champions and their schedules.
We want to give ourselves the advantage. Playing 9 SEC games, that is tough. You play 9 SEC games and play a Power 4 opponent, that makes our schedule complicated. When you look at the Big Ten this year, they played the 9 conference games, but they didn't play a Power 4 opponent. Mm-hmm. And in fact, the last 3 national champions didn't do that from the Big Ten. So those are things, we always look at how we give our conference a competitive advantage and how we give our institutions competitive advantages. So those type of things that we're looking at trying to decide with this football scheduling.
Okay, I want to be very clear because I am someone who sits here and pounds the table and says I want to get rid of garbage cupcake games. And I can say this a million different times, but it's not always going to resonate. So I have to say it 1,000,001. I never want to see garbage cupcake games ever again. I want to see Power 4 teams play only Power 4 every week. However, there is no sense in being the only school or league to do that. You are cutting off your nose to spite your face. You are voluntarily giving yourself a disadvantage. I want to see that, but only if everyone does it. Here's what I mean. Last year, Indiana won the national championship. Their non-conference schedule was Old Dominion, Kennesaw State, and Indiana State. Nationally, their strength of schedule before the postseason, remember, you go play 16 games, Big Ten championship game, ranked teams in the playoffs, your strength of schedule is going to go up. I'm talking about regular season. Indiana's regular season strength of schedule was 38th. 2024, Ohio State wins the national championship. Their non-conference, Akron, Western Michigan, Marshall. Their strength of schedule in the regular season was 57th. 2023, Michigan. Their non-conference schedule, East Carolina, UNLV, Bowling Green. Their strength of schedule in the regular season, 51st. Noticing a trend? Lane Kiffin. Lane Kiffin, in the interview a couple of weeks ago on Pardon My Take, talked about his non-conference scheduling philosophy at Ole Miss. Remember, he was at the little runt school. The little runt school. Win 8 games a year, they build a statue for you. This was Lane Kiffin talking about his approach to scheduling at Ole Miss for 6 years.
You know, it's why I've always been a proponent to stay at 8 games and let us make our own, whoever we want to play in non-conference. Don't tell us who we have to play.
Right.
And we would do like the model of the last place I was just at. Look at we went 20-0 in non-conference regular season games at Ole Miss. 20-0. We didn't play any of them big openers. This place went in a 4-year span, lost 3 or 4 openers.
Yeah, they played hard games at the openers.
So you play, that's so great, whatever. Well, you don't get rewarded for it because it's not worth it enough in the strength. But also, that schedule where half your games you don't have to get up for, it's a mental toll that you got to play when you're getting up for. Plus, also, man, your good players are out by the fourth quarter. So your play count at the end of the year is less.
You heard what he said in the middle of that? You don't get rewarded for playing the tough game. Oh, pat on the back, great, you scheduled the game. You don't get rewarded for it. So why play it? That's the point he's making. The goal is to win a championship. 5 years, 10 years, 50 years from now, nobody's going to look back at Indiana and go, man, great team, but they played Old Dominion, Kennesaw State, and Indiana State. No, they're going to remember kicking the crap out of Indiana or out of Alabama in the Rose Bowl and winning the national championship. That's what you're going to remember. You remember who LSU, do you remember who LSU played in the non-conference in 2003? I do, because I was at all the games. 2007? They played Virginia Tech that year. But still, the point being, nobody cares. It's about winning the last game. So set yourself up to get to the last game. That's the problem. So Verge was asked about the future of that Power 4 mandate in the SEC.
Well, we don't know. There's a lot of plans that we have out there that we're looking at. Decide, if we keep playing a Power 4 opponent, say it's 9 games, the SEC championship on the back end. So there's a lot of things we discuss, and we didn't finalize anything. I think that's why the rest of this summer we'll be meeting with our colleagues in the conference, with the presidents, to try to figure out how it's going to look, how many games are going to be, how the CFP going to look. There's a lot of things to determine that before we make a decision if we're going to play a Power 4 opponent or not. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of where we are right now. We're just going to step back. I think we'll have some meetings here coming up really soon with athletic directors, trying to determine how we're going to go forward with football scheduling.
This is real easy. The Big Ten plays 9 league games without a Power 4 mandate. The SEC needs to, if you're going to stay at 9 league games, remove the Power 4 mandate. Choose who you want to play. If the Big Ten puts in a Power 4 mandate, cool. Keep playing a Power 4 non-conference game. Now, I want to see it. As a football fan, I don't want to see garbage. But what I want more than anything is my team to make the playoff and win a championship. And including a Power 4 mandate and a 9-game schedule makes it more difficult because you have I'm not good at math, as we know. You have mathematically guaranteed half of your league another loss. You made it more difficult to make it to the playoff because in a 12-team format with the committee, as we've seen, you do not get rewarded for playing a tough schedule. Indiana made the playoff 2 years ago, going 11-1, playing one ranked opponent, and they got their head kicked in by Ohio State. That's it. And they made it in. Why? Because they're 11-1. And the committee's a bunch of weak-minded sheep that only look at the lowest common denominator. Where's your record? Okay, you're in. So, they want a pretty record? Give them a pretty record. All right. got a lot to talk about. And we'll dive into all of it today. Chris Curry will be here at the start of next hour. He's the head coach at Little Rock. The Little Rock Trojans will be taking on the Troy Trojans in Super Regionals. Excited to have Coach Curry back on the show. John Stinchcomb will be here in hour 3. Our show Open Every Day is brought to you by Bud Light. Drink easy with the great taste of Bud Light, the official beer of AFR, the official beer of your Fighting Tigers of LSU, the official beer of the New Orleans Saints. Summer's here, pool days, beach days. If you're enjoying a little fun in the sun, make sure you drink responsibly, but drink easy with the great taste of Bud Light, the official beer of the Tigers, the official beer of the Saints, the official beer of AFR, and the official beer of summertime. So be it at the pool, at the beach, at your favorite restaurant, watering hole, ask for it by name. Drink easy with the great taste of Bud Light, the official beer of AFR. Okay, Chris Olave and Alvin Kamara. Olave spoke about his contract situation. Kamara's agent updated Alvin's contract situation with the Saints as OTAs are continuing right now. We'll get you those updates when we continue on AFR, powered by Sunshine.
AFR.
If you're a business owner and you're hiring, or if you're an HR manager, a hiring manager, an operations manager, if you're the person in your business responsible for making sure the right people in the business are in the right seats on the bus, Glow Resources can help you do it. And it really doesn't matter what type of business it is that you're hiring for. If it's skilled blue-collar labor, if it's any type of office job. Remember, I've told you this before, but how about this? Here's a pavement milling machine operator in New Orleans. Again, outside of Baton Rouge as well. A material handling and production technician in Baton Rouge. Design engineers in Bay Springs, Mississippi. Bilingual field engineer who speaks both Korean and English for a job in Baton Rouge. Point is, if you're hiring for any job, Glow Resources can help you find the right people for that job. GLO, glowresources.com.
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
Glad you're rolling along with us here. We always appreciate our friends over at Sunshine, sunequip.com, sunequip.com. Bunky and below, you want a Deere, you're going to Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. Two Saints premier offensive players who are in sort of tenuous contract situations that we've been following this offseason, of course, are Alvin Kamara and Chris Olave. Both we have brief updates on their situations. We'll start with Kamara, then go to Olave. Is interesting because Alvin Kamara's agent has kind of given an update on Alvin and that contract situation. And notably, he says that they expect to be playing for the New Orleans Saints this year. And I don't know that Alvin Kamara necessarily would think anything differently, but Brad Sakala told Mike Garafolo of the NFL Network, quote, "We plan on playing for the Saints in 2026. Garafolo's update after Jeremy Fowler reported Sunday on SportsCenter that there hasn't been a lot of traction yet on the Saints' direction with Kamara, but there is some interest on potentially coming back there. Maybe they can do a revised deal." So remember, Kellen Moore on Thursday, during his media availability from OTAs, was asked about Kamara. This is what he said. Okay. We're going to get to Kellen Moore and Mickey Loomis, who both had updates on this situation.
Yeah, I don't think we put timelines on any of this stuff. We're just kind of working through the roster. And again, this time of year, there's, some of these guys, they traditionally haven't come this time of year, which is, as part of their kind of rhythm and routine as far as the offseason program. And so we'll just continue to work through that.
I don't know what you'd really be working through. This isn't anything new. We know the situation is what it is. Either you're going to do a deal or you're not. Kamara is under contract. Remember, they restructured his deal. So it really is a matter, I think, of do you want him on the team or do you feel like you have a better option than Kamara at running back? Mickey Loomis was asked, this was back on May 18th, what is undetermined about Kamara's status right now?
We're just trying to see how he's going to fit in our roster, and obviously there's a resource management element to it, and we'll get to that over the next next week or two.
So next week or two, that was May 18th. We're beyond the next week or two now with Kamara's situation. Remember, he signed a 2-year extension worth $24 million, and the Saints did, in fact, restructure. They used a seldom-used restructuring mechanism this offseason to redo Kamara's deal, whereby if you look at the way the deal is structured right now, his base will be $1.3 million. The restructured 5.9, the cap hit for this year at 10.4. It's a matter of, it really is going to be a matter of if the Saints feel like he is the best option to back up Achin on this year's team. And if they do, he'll be there. Like, this was another back and forth that Loomis had with a reporter about the finances in Kamara's deal.
Does he currently have a decision to make on like a revamped contract or something?
No, not currently, no.
So do you, with OTAs starting next week, is that a deadline to try and figure out who's on the roster? And who's not?
That creates a little bit of a deadline, yes. But it's not hard and fast.
And you mentioned resource management. Is that about the contract?
Yeah, sure, certainly, yeah. It's about how we manage our cap, and we'll get to that.
It's just so weird and so ambiguous because Kamara is under contract. They did a very rarely used restructure, which they would not have gone to the lengths they did without anticipating a change. And only $3 million of Kamara's 11.5 base was set to be guaranteed. So now, when you look at the $10.1 million restructure, how is that going to be implemented? So that's what Loomis is being very coy about there. The news, the update, is that Kamara's agent says Alvin expects to be playing for the New Orleans Saints this year. I don't know if there's a better option. Now, we all expect Chris Olave will be playing for the New Orleans Saints. The question is, will he be playing for the Saints this year under a new contract, or will he be playing under the final year as the Saints exercise the 5th-year option for Olave's rookie deal? So Olave's going into year 5, coming off a career season. Going into this year, they would certainly love to, Olave's side, would love to get a restructured contract done. And very briefly, Thursday at OTAs talked about how the extension talks have gone.
Yeah, for sure. We're on the same page. It's going in the right direction. We've been talking for a few months, so we just got to get to that point where we agree to a deal.
So one thing that Olave was clear about is he does not expect to hold out during training camp while waiting on a new deal.
Like I said, I'm committed to winning, man. We haven't been winning here these past 4 years since I've been here. One player doesn't really affect the game. It's always they always looking for somebody to replace you. So I'm committed to winning first of all, and I feel like I'm a team player. The contract is a whole different side of the game. It's the business side. So I feel like we're gonna come down to that before training camp. I hope we do, so we don't affect the chemistry and stuff going into training camp. But I think it's gonna get done soon.
The most interesting part about this, from the Olave perspective, very clearly, is that you have Olave's camp and the Saints camp not agreeing on his value. That much is clear, because if they did agree on Olave's value, that would be done already. We've talked about this enough over the last year, really. And I think you probably know where I stand on it. Spotrac, just one source, but they put out the market value for Olave at $33 million, and the deal being 4 years, $131.8 million, an average annual salary of $32.9 million. So basically $33 million average annual salary. The comps: T. Higgins, DK Metcalf, Jameson Williams, Garrett Wilson, is kind of how they calculate that value. Currently, on his rookie deal, Chris Olave is the 52nd highest paid receiver in the NFL. And I think we can all agree that Olave should be paid higher than the 52nd highest paid receiver in the NFL. While I do not believe Chris Olave is one of the top 10 or 15 best receivers in the NFL, I do believe he's somewhere in that next tier. And so when you look at how how those receivers are paid, that new deal, if he gets a deal like we just talked about there, at an average annual salary of $33 million, that would make him the 6th highest paid receiver in the NFL. Only JSN, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, CeeDee Lamb, and DK Metcalf would be paid more than Chris Olave. For me, that is really hard to justify because I don't see Chris Olave as the 6th best receiver in the NFL. He is not a big play threat. Very much was a static compiler this year because of volume of targets, especially after Rashid Shaheed was traded. And I think the Saints also showed you, what do I always say, actions speak louder than words. If they really felt like Olave was a true, legit, game-breaking number one wide receiver, and you had that guy on the roster, I don't think you're going out and using a top 10 pick on Jordan Tyson. Can we all agree that makes sense? Like, if you you're not going to see, for example, Seattle use a top. They're not picking the top 10, but they wouldn't be using a top 10 pick on a receiver. The Bengals maybe are a better comp. The Bengals had a top 10 pick. They didn't go draft another receiver. They traded their top 10 pick for a veteran interior defensive lineman. The Minnesota Vikings aren't using a first-round pick on a wide receiver with Justin Jefferson already there. Do you understand the point? Like, the Saints, I think, in taking Jordan Tyson, showed you they think Tyson can be that guy, that top 5 receiver in the NFL. They don't think that's Olave. And I agree with them, by the way. So that's where I think there's this impasse. Olave feels like he should be paid like a top 5, top 10 receiver in the NFL, and the Saints clearly do not agree. So where's that balance in the middle? Now, one thing I did like is what Olave said there is he wants to get a deal done. He's not going to hold out. He doesn't want it to be a distraction. They haven't done a lot of winning. He's a team player, and he wants to win. And I believe him. I mean, that's part of the culture. One of the reasons the Saints draft so many Ohio State guys. It's a great college football program with a good history and good culture, and guys have come into the league and done really well, and certainly with the Saints franchise by and large also. And Olave's been a model teammate and a great dude since he's been with the New Orleans Saints. He's had the concussion issue, which isn't his own fault, but he's worked hard, came back, and had a career year this year. And I'd very much be on board with Chris Olave getting a new contract that would that would pay him appropriately. But when you look at the average annual value of receivers in the NFL, putting him at $33 million ahead of guys like Garrett Wilson, Terry McLaurin, and A.J. Brown, and Amon-Ra St. Brown, I struggle to get there. I think when you're talking about that next, I mean, even like if I asked you if you could take your pick, would you want Chris Olave or George Pickens? Like, for me, that feels like a very obvious answer. George Pickens is a dynamic game breaker. Well, George Pickens is the 15th highest paid receiver in the NFL. Devontae Smith is 17th when you look at this list. Devontae Adams is 21st, although he's getting a little older in his career. I think when you start to get into that $20 million a year range where you've got Chris Godwin and Devontae Adams and Jacoby Myers, Jerry Jeudy's down at 17.5. That's probably that range where I'd have him somewhere in the late teens, early 20s, in that 20 to 25 million per year range. That's probably what I'd be looking at for Chris Olave. But when you start talking about paying him like a top 5 receiver in the NFL with JSN and Chase and Jefferson and CeeDee Lamb and DK Metcalf, I struggle to get there. It sounds like the Saints are struggling to get there as well. But hopefully both sides want to get a deal done before training camp starts. Maybe they can agree. Now, I guess there's always the possibility that Chris Olave could play this year on the 5th year of his deal and go and not agree to a deal and go into unrestricted free agency after the season, bet on himself if he has another monster season, which, by the way, is going to be more difficult when you're sharing targets with a number 1 pick in Jordan Tyson. So it would probably behoove Olave to agree to a deal, because if he bet on himself this season where you're likely going to see targets come down, the production will come down from what it was this past year. That's not what you want to see going into unrestricted free agency. It gives the Saints more leverage. So I think it benefit both sides to get a deal done this offseason, but it can't look like DK Metcalf's contract or Justin Jefferson's contract or CeeDee Lamb's contract. It's got to look more like Cortland Sutton or Chris Godwin. We'll see ultimately where they land. All right, it's After Further Review. We're brought to you by Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. Windows, doors, siding, shutters, and shades. Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. You know where to find them. Showrooms right there on Airline Highway in Prairieville. So if you're going south on Airline, you cross Highway 42. If you're familiar with Airline Highway in Baton Rouge, go south on Airline, you cross Highway 42, quarter mile on the right. Can't miss it. The same developer that did the renovations at LSU Football Ops built the Relief Windows showroom. When you walk in, you can see a lot of the commonalities with design and structure. Such an awesome place. And I tell you all the time, man, go on in there. They have this 3D modeling technology where they can show you what the windows, doors, siding, shutters, like they show you in 3D, a 3D model, what it would look like on your home. So if you're really a visual person and you want to see that instead of just looking at a small sample or a picture on the internet, go into the showroom over at Relief Windows. Check them out. ReliefWindows.com. Windows, doors, siding, shutters, and shades. Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. All right, y'all, it's After Further Review. Glad you're aboard with us here on this Tuesday edition of AFR, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. Little Rock head coach Chris Curry in about 30 minutes. If you missed it, man, the Trojans, after putting a scare in LSU a season ago, swept through the Hattiesburg Regional, and they're going to face Troy as the Troy Trojans went down to Gainesville and won the Gainesville Regional. So I don't think many people had that one as they were filling out their bracket at D1 Baseball with Little Rock, the 4 seed, against Troy, the 3 seed in Gainesville for a trip to Omaha. But one of those teams will be going to Omaha, and I'm sure hoping it'll be Chris Curry and the Little Rock Trojans. So Coach Curry will be here in 30 minutes from right now. We'll talk some more Saints with John Stinchcomb in hour number 3. Stinch will be here. We'll look forward to that. All right, it's After Further Review. Let me knock out a quick break, come back, go around the SEC. Stick around.
AFR.
REV. Let's rev, y'all. Better yet, Rev Fiber. Go to revfiber.com, revfiber.com, revfiber.com. You know, our friends over at Rev, 90 years of local service. So when you call Rev, one of their great competitive advantages is when you call Rev, you're not getting, y'all, I was on the phone. You're not getting shipped to a call center overseas. I was literally, I had to call a hotel. I was booking a hotel for SEC Media Days. And I get routed through a call center, and I end up talking to an attendant, and her dog starts barking. Like, very clearly not working at the hotel, a call center at home with her dog barking in the background. Like, what service is that? With Rev, you're calling a local call center with someone right here in our market answering your phone call. REV, revfiber.com, revfiber.com.
After Further Review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
Plowing these fields in the hot summer sun, over by the gate.
There's Taki's mom. She has been living and dying on every pitch. Taki in the air to center. Burris going back. That ball is gone! It's gone! Dayton Taki sends Oklahoma to Super Regionals!
That's how it sounded when Oklahoma walked it off against Georgia Tech. That call didn't need to be nearly as delayed. I mean, your guy Dayton Taki pissed on that baseball. I mean, that field was only 390 to center. Now, that would have been gone from any field in America. I mean, but he hit that thing 420.
454 is what TrackMan said.
454?
454.
Bro, that was and play the beginning of that again. Like, again, this is as no doubt a no-doubter. It went over the bat. Again, only 390 to center there at Georgia Tech. But, like, it went over the batter's eye. Straight. This was a no-doubter.
Dying on every pitch. Taki in the air to center. Burris going back. That ball is gone! It's gone!
I mean, he made it seem like there was a chance that might stay in the park.
Yeah, like Burris had to leap to rob it is what it sounded like.
Anyway, that happened while we were on the air. Not to be outdone, West Virginia with a walk-off as well. It was Armani Guzman with the honors to send the Mountaineers to the Supers.
In
to center field. It gets down. Around third is Kresser. Cue Country Roads. West Virginia wins it in 10.
So Kentucky eliminated there. The super regional field is now set. West Virginia or Cal Poly will be headed to Omaha, as that's one super regional. They will face in Omaha the winner of Little Rock and Troy. How about that quadrant? Cal Poly, West Virginia, Little Rock, and Troy. I mean, this is a really crappy year for LSU not to be in the field because, my goodness, does this feel wide open. In the bottom half of that bracket, North Carolina against Southern Cal, who eliminated Texas A&M yesterday. Ole Miss and Auburn at the bottom of that bracket. On the other side, Oklahoma against Kansas. You just heard Taki's walk-off. They'll take on the Jayhawks in Lawrence. St. John's advanced out of the Tallahassee Regional. Alabama still in the field, winning the Tuscaloosa Regional, so they'll host St. John's in the Supers. Texas against Oregon, that'll be in Austin. And then Georgia will host Mississippi State. So 4 of the SEC teams that made Supers will face each other, with Mississippi State against Georgia and Ole Miss against Auburn. As we mentioned, Texas will play Oregon. Alabama will play St. John's. So Supers, and then Oklahoma against Kansas, excuse me. So Supers are set. We'll begin this weekend with 8 spots in Omaha on the line for the College World Series. All right, it's after further review. We're brought to you by the Williamson Eye Center. Want to see 2020? Call 924-2020, 924-2020, or WilliamsonEye.com. That's Williamson, EYE.com. Book an appointment. Book a consultation. Go meet Dr. Blake Williamson. As I tell you all the time, they do eye care, eyewear, and eye surgery. So if you want to have your annual eye exam, Williamson Eye Center can do that at any of their locations in the greater Baton Rouge area, including the newest location in the River Parishes down in Lutcher. Eyewear. If you wear contacts or glasses, they can update your prescription and fill it. So if you need new contacts or glasses, they can help you there. But if you're like me and you want to get rid of your contacts and glasses forever, even if you've been told in the past you're not a candidate, it's worth going for that consultation with Dr. Blake Williamson, because ophthalmology has evolved so much, and they, no matter your age or refractive issue, they have a solution to where you can get rid of those contacts or glasses forever. It just takes the courage to take the first step and go see Dr. Blake Williamson at the Williamson Eye Center. They have financing available. They have so many options. Don't let whatever you think is your inability to afford it or pay be the hurdle. Let them work through that with you. It's the Williamson Eye Center, 924-2020 or WilliamsonEye.com. Okay, do it every day about this time. Let's go around the SEC.
Around the SEC, bringing you the biggest news from the nation's best conference.
Texas A&M!
After A&M was bounced, so too is our pitching coach, Jason Kelly, the former LSU pitching coach. He signed a 2-year, $1.4 million contract with the Aggies, arrived before the 2025 season. Prior to that, he'd been the head coach at the University of Washington, so he joined the first staff under Michael Early, was there for 2 years, but he won't be back. Aggies were 46th nationally in WHIP, 56th in strikeouts per 9, 83rd in ERA. So not a great year on the bump for Texas A&M, and they'll have a new pitching coach.
The Tennessee Volunteers.
Jay Abernathy is entering the transfer portal. Sophomore at 255 with 4 bombs this year. Played in 106 games with 66 starts for the Vols at both center and second base. He's 5'10", went to Tennessee from Ackworth, Georgia. Instead of going into the 2024 draft, he was the number 61 overall prospect, 16th best shortstop when he signed with the Vols, but he'll continue his career elsewhere.
The Florida Gators.
One prospect that LSU had been targeting is 4-star offensive tackle Kennedy Jackson. Well, he is commit number 18 for the Florida Gators, and John Sumrall chose the Gators over Georgia, the number 139 overall prospect in the country, the 14th best offensive tackle.
The Auburn Tigers.
Cornerback Aiden Wiggins has picked Auburn. He's out of South Carolina. Had offers from Auburn, LSU, Virginia Tech, Syracuse, and others. He's the number 100 cornerback in the class, the 18th best player in South Carolina. He's a 3-star recruit.
The Alabama Crimson Tide.
And the Tide have landed a commitment from 2028 linebacker Dustin Henry. That means he's about to go into his junior year of high school. 6'4", 205, currently a 3-star. He's the 48th best linebacker in the country. Second commit for the 2028 class, including 3-star quarterback Charles Scott Jr. All right, there you have it. That is Around the SEC. Our Tuesday shows, as always, are powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. Remember, newest location on Pico in Baton Rouge, right there at the new Pico exit. Check it out. Sunnyquip.com, sunnyquip.com. Just told you, four-star offensive tackle Kennedy Jackson picked Florida. And that was one of the offensive linemen we've been talking about with Shea here. And by the way, Shea normally was with us here on Tuesdays, had a bump to tomorrow. So Shea will be here on Wednesday. We'll talk some recruiting. But what's interesting is I keep looking at how this staff is building this roster in this signing class. You can continue to see positional value emerge. Like, think about it. In the signing class for 26, the freshmen now, Richard Anderson, Deuce Geralds, Lamar Brown. They're investing in defensive linemen. Look at the guys they just had on campus. When you're talking about Jalen Brewster, number 1 player in the country. Abraham Cisse, 5-star edge. You currently have a 5-star edge in Jaden Bryant committed. You got another high 4-star defensive tackle on campus right now. What you're not seeing is the elite offensive lineman. Mark Matthews, LSU was kind of in the mix, went to Texas A&M. Kennedy Jackson is going to Florida. I think it's pretty clear that this staff is not going to spend money on incoming freshman tackles. Now, if they really like Albert Simeon at Sam Houston, which I believe they do, and they think he could be a plug-and-play guard as a true freshman, I think they might spend to get him here. But by and large, it seems really cool. Look at what they did in the portal last year. And adding guys with young guys who had been in SEC programs that are coming to sit this year, and then by 2027 might be third-year players looking to finally step up and start. So I think we're learning. I'm not saying it's good, bad, right, wrong. It just is. It's just how they're looking to build. And it's pretty clear this staff will invest money in high school players on the defensive line where they're not looking to spend money on high school players. Clearly, hot top dollar is that offensive tackle. All right, it's after further review. Let's not get a break. Come back. Wrap up hour number 1. You know the anonymous coaches survey we talk about every year? The anonymous coaches that dish on SEC coaches? Well, Athlon has done the same thing. They've given coaches anonymity to talk about the Texas Tech and Brendan Sorsby situation. We'll get to that as we wrap up hour number 1 next.
After further review.
If you want to feel your best, Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness can help you do it. So I get it, right? The name is Goodwood. The logo is funny. Haha, we laugh. You got to put that out of your mind. All right? The point of that is to get your attention, and it works. Actually pretty brilliant. But when you go into Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness, what they do at their core is help men feel like you did when you're younger. Now, maybe you have ED. If you do, they can help. But more importantly even than that, hormone replacement therapy, okay? It's about getting your body to natural, healthy testosterone levels so you feel like you did when you were younger. Maybe it's peptide therapy. A simple blood test can let you know if you're a candidate. It's time to schedule that consultation today. YourGoodwood.com.
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
She thinks my tractor's sexy. It really turns her on.
This Father's Day, Citizens Bank and Trust is celebrating the dads who do it all with the return of the Rad Dad Contest. Nominate your favorite Rad Dad for a chance to win an awesome grand prize package, including a Weber Traveler Grill and accessories from Goodwood Hardware, a steak dinner pack from Chris's Specialty Foods, and a Manly Bayou bundle from Hawk Soap. Just submit a photo of your dad doing dad things for a chance to win. Submissions run May 25th through June 13th. Voting begins June 14th, and the winner will be announced Friday, June 19th. Happy Father's Day to all the rad dads from Citizens Bank and Trust.
We're wrapping up hour number 1. Every year in the offseason, I love the thing that Athlon does. It's the anonymous coaches piece where they give coaches anonymity to talk about other coaches and teams in the conference. So we look at the SEC every year. Well, Athlon has done the same thing, except asking coaches to talk about Texas Tech and the Brendan Sorsby thing. Not only Sorsby and his eligibility, but also what that means for Texas Tech. For example, one coach said, quote, I think they're still ultra talented, so they can still win the Big 12. It's just not going to be easy. To me, it was BYU versus Texas Tech for the Big 12 championship. Can you say that now? I don't know. If you look at it a year ago, Texas Tech's only loss was at Arizona State, the 26-22 game. But Texas Tech and BYU played twice. In the regular season, Tech won that game 29-7. Then they played in the Big 12 championship game, and Texas Tech blew them out 34-7, a game that was never competitive. I don't know where really the other competition in that league is going to come. You know, Utah was a ranked team a year ago, and that's, I guess, interesting. But Kyle Whittingham's gone. So anyway, it'll be fascinating to see how and who might be able to step up. After Texas Tech BYU, you mentioned Utah was 11-2 on the season, went 7-2 in the league. But Houston was 6-3 in the league. Arizona was 6-3 in the league. Arizona State was 6-3. Iowa State was 5-4. Matt Campbell's gone. K-State, TCU, Cincinnati, all 5-4. I mean, it's a league that has a high floor and a low ceiling. So everything's compressed to the middle. And you have Texas Tech spending the way they did, so they're kind of peeking through above everyone else. But if Brendan Sorsby isn't eligible, well, how does that work out? Now, the Brendan Sorsby eligibility piece to me is really cut and dried. We've talked about it here and everywhere. There is a black and white rule, like the rule you cannot break, and Brendan Sorsby broke it. He bet on sports. He bet on his team, games his team was playing in. He was also doing daily fantasy when he was at Cincinnati. So the NCAA has said at point blank he's ineligible. They're going to go to court. We'll see what happens. My opinion is one thing. There's a coach anonymously who said, quote, Brendan Sorsby is not going to be able to play no matter what they say. There's no way, because once you open Pandora's box, it's over. It's one thing for me to say it. It's another for a coach to say it, albeit anonymously. And I sure hope that more people and coaches and people in prominent positions will step up and say the same thing, because that's just something that cannot happen. By the way, David Purdom is an ESPN gambling expert, a sports betting expert who was on Sportsmanlike and talked about what it would mean if Sorsby were reinstated.
This would be the first time that any sports league would be forced to allow someone who has bet on his own games to return and play. This would be kind of similar to Pete Rose being allowed to come play back in Major League Baseball. No league has ever been forced to do this. It would change a lot of things. And there's a couple quarterbacks, or one quarterback from Iowa State, Hunter Deckers, who lost his permanent eligibility, lost all eligibility because he had found to bet on Iowa State games. So there are some players that in the past have got punished and got completely ruled ineligible, and now to see that happen, that would definitely be a change in the precedent.
It would be seismic if Brendan Sorsby is allowed to play, because effectively then what you're doing is setting a precedent to say, go ahead and bet on sports. Bet on games your team is playing in. Just go to court and get eligible, which I think we can all understand why that would be cataclysmic. So it was a bit refreshing for me to see a coach, even anonymously, say he ain't going to be eligible no matter what they say. And that's my hope, is that he's not eligible. By the way, there was one other coach who said, Will Hammond, who's the backup, coming off a torn ACL, who would play if Sorsby's ineligible. Will Hammond is talented, but we all know with an ACL, it takes a long time to recover. So we'll see. Hey, we're brought to you by Arco Power Systems, ARCCO, Arco.com, Arco.com, Arco.com. If you got a business, a commercial building, industrial facility, government, municipalities, schools, churches, doctor's office, grocery stores, gas stations, doesn't matter, you name it. If you need reliable backup power, you need Arco Power Systems. We talk about Generac generators all the time, most of the time in context of your home. Power goes out, generator kicks on, powers your house. This is for your business. And Arco deals all over the Southeast. North to Little Rock, east to Mobile, west to San Antonio, all over the state of Louisiana, offices in Houston, Dallas, everywhere. Arco.com, ARCCO. This is energy for your business. So get started today at Arco.com, ARCCO, Arco.com. All right, y'all, it is After Further Review. We're glad to have you hanging out with us here. SportsCenter coming up, get you caught up on national headlines. Little Rock head baseball coach Chris Curry next.
After Further Review.
Hey, I want to remind you, the Louisiana Department of Insurance has opened a new portal window for fortified roofs. We've talked about this in the past, but this is an expanded grant program whereby Louisiana homeowners can get up to a $10,000 grant to install a fortified roof at your home. 3,000 Louisiana homeowners are going to be awarded this grant through the Louisiana Department of Insurance. Parish Construction and Roofing, we are a certified fortified roofing company. So if you go to our website, parishbuilt.com, parishbuilt.com, at the top of the homepage, there's a black bar at the top of the homepage. Click that link. It'll take you directly to the LDI website where you can get more information and you can apply. We would love to help you throughout the entire process. Do business with someone you know. Parish Construction and Roofing, parishbuilt.com, parishbuilt.com.